Hello everyone, this is Nathan Bryan from the Digital Monkey School, and this is Class 3, Lecture 2. As you can see from our last class, I added a couple extra edge loops wherever there were deformations. So where the elbows bend, where the knees bend, and right around the center of the torso where you're going to get a lot of spine movement, I went ahead and added a couple of extra edge loops. I also move things around to make sure that everything was a little more rounded off. So instead of a square block around the torso, I kind of tapered it off a little bit and made sure and added some legs to, because it's the exact same way as the arm. You're pulling out of the side of the hips here and coming down instead of the bottom of the hips. This gives you the crotch area necessary for movement. So I will continue from here. For the feet, I'm going to go ahead and add an edge loop right there. Select the face on the front and extrude that out. Go ahead and move the edges around so that you get something that looks a little bit more like a foot. Try and get the shape the best that you can. It's sort of a taper backwards along your toes. Your big toe faces mostly forwards, and then everything else sort of goes back slowly. We can go ahead and add an edge loop, or even 2 or 3 for right along the foot so that it can bend properly. So that's just sort of the basic foot right there. For the hand, this is a little more complicated. We select the face, extrude it forward. Now this is going to be the area for the 3 middle fingers, so it doesn't include the pinky or the thumb. To get the thumb, we're going to select this face here and extrude it out. And we're going to go ahead and scale it down to about the size of the thumb. If this ever happens where you hit the rotate tool and it goes back to the origin of your object, double click on your tool and use manipulator instead of object, and that'll bring it to the center of your selection. So now that I have it at the center, I'm just going to rotate it this way. This is what your thumb's coming from. So I'm just going to sort of get the general shape of the palm where the thumb comes out. For the pinky, I'm going to go ahead and select that and extrude. I'm going to move it out to about the size of the pinky there. Select this back edge, and this is going to be that curved, fleshy area on your palm right along the outside. Martial artists would use this area to break bricks, and it's good to always have a little bit of extra geometry there, so go ahead and add that. Now this is enough that we can start shaping the palm into a bit of a palm. So the palm tapers just a little bit. It's mostly square, but it tapers a little backwards, so we're going to go ahead and taper that. And we're going to add some edge loops for the fingers. You can see that it added edge loops all the way up and down the body, so you're going to have to go through and adjust the vertexes for those. But now you see we have 4 fingers. Now you'd edit the vertexes so that you know which fingers are going to be smaller and which ones are going to be bigger. So go ahead and taper that in this direction. So that's the way our fingers are coming out. Each one of these fingers we're going to extrude inward just a little bit and then forward just a little bit. This gives a little bit of room between each finger. Alright, so now you can see where all the fingers are going to be coming out of. I'm just going to adjust this around a little bit to make it even. The nice thing about this is it gives you a little bit of that webbing between your fingers, especially if you were to add an edge loop around this way. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You can sort of see we can pull these back, and there will be a little bit of a webbing right down the center of the fingers. See that? Alright, so to continue the fingers, each one of these we're going to extrude them all the way out to the tip of the finger. Scale it down. If you look at your hand closely, you'll notice that your middle finger is usually just a little bit longer than the two next to it. Pinky is usually significantly shorter, and the thumb usually stays pretty thick all the way out to the tip. Flatten it out here, taper it just a little bit. So there you go, there's sort of a basic hand there. Again, like the knees and the elbows, you're going to add some extra edge loops wherever there is bending. You'll notice that each one of my extrusions here were separate. If you ever get this, you can take a look and see, make sure under Edit Mesh, Keep Faces is turned on. This will fix the problem for later. But as of right now, we're actually going to have to come in here inside of the hand and delete all these faces. Something that, this will also happen whether you have keep faces turned on or not. In the center of the body, you have a bunch of faces that it creates as well. So go ahead and delete those too. Make sure you always know which direction is up, because this can get you lost. There you go. So there's our hand. If, like we had just then, the two faces are still separate, so what we're going to need to do is make sure that the vertices are on top of each other. So hold down V and snap to point. Hold down V and snap to point. Select the object and hit Edit Mesh, Merge Option Box. Make sure that this threshold number is 0.0001. That makes sure that only the vertices that are sitting on top of each other will merge together. Hit Merge, and now the faces should be connected. Alright, so remember, with the hands we're going to go ahead and add edge loops for wherever there's a bend. Think of where all the knuckles are going to be. And go ahead and shape the hand so that it's a little more smooth. Don't be too particular about it. Don't be too precise, because when you smooth for the finished version, it's going to look like that anyway. So I'm going to give you example, Edit Mesh, or Mesh Smooth. So that's kind of what it looks like there. You could, after smoothing, always come in and fix it up a little bit more. Leave this stage for the last step, but there's to give you an idea. There's the hands and the feet, so I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next class.